Hey dudes, this is Brooke Theiss, Debbie the Cockroach, aka Bug Girl from A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and you're listening to Tommy Throwback Kovac on Splat from the Past. Fun fact, nothing ever offends Tommy. Wink wink, nudge nudge.
Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming a gorgeous horror movie actress and prolific TV actress. Her name is Holly Fields. You all know her from Wishmaster 2 and other horror movies like Communion and Seedpeople, and she's been on so many great TV series, from the pilot of Married with Children all the way to the short-lived series Whole High. Having her on the show today, I met her 4 weeks ago at Son of Monsterpalooza, along with another guest of mine, Tammy Lauren, and she was so sweet, so awesome, and I'm glad I'm having her on the podcast today. And we're going to do a pretty good interview, I think. So, here is my interview with Holly Fields. Hey, Holly.
Hey, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have a cold, but hopefully you can't tell.
Oh, no, you sound great.
Yeah, I wanted to sound all sexy and raspy, but instead I sound congested and I sound like Rudolph or something.
No, you do sound sexy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Of course, of course.
To be kind.
Wow, I can't believe we only met 4 weeks ago.
It's already been 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Wow, it feels like it was 2 weeks ago.
I know, right?
Yes, oh my god, that was so much fun.
That was a fun weekend. It was crazy, but it was fun.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was crazy, but God, I finally got to meet Tammy, which was so cool, and got to hang out with Andrew G-Ross, who I love, and it was the best time ever.
Wow, I didn't know that you two hadn't met before. That you two acted like.
I've been wanting to meet her. I mean, I grew up just loving her. Like, she's the coolest, right? And
the best.
I was up to play her sister in Wishmaster 1, and I got to the audition, and I got a phone call from my agent saying, "Don't even bother going up. You know, I had to go upstairs," and they said that it's already been cast, and I was devastated because I really wanted to play her sister, and then I got cast in Wishmaster 2 years later, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, it all worked out.
Oh, yes, it did. So, going back in time, I know that you were a child actress, but at what age did you start gravitating toward acting?
I started at age 6. I was in Sacramento, and my brother was doing a play with Molly Ringwald, and so I love Molly Ringwald's classic, and he was doing Alpha, and so I was sitting in I was probably 5 during this, and I was sitting in the front row, I knew every song, and I was singing, and my parents knew something was weird with me.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the end. And, so then Molly was auditioning for The Wicked Glass, along with her brother Kelly and sister Beth, and their dad said, "Why don't you have your kids audition along with my kids?" So my brother and sister and I, we all went and auditioned for The Wicked Glass.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I was 6, and I got it to sing, and they said, "Wait, how old are you?" And I said 6, and they said, "You can't do the show, you're too young." And everyone was like, let her audition. So I did, and I sang, and they cast me as an understudy for Molly, because I was, they let me do it anyway. So at the last show we did, Molly had gotten hurt she was going down she was, I guess, on a vacation in Tahoe or somewhere. She was going down an inner tube and hit her head on a tree. So I got to go on the last night, and that's when I knew I never wanted to turn back. I loved theater.
Wow.
So, and then I turned 8. Well, then we moved to Texas, and Molly's dad was so kind and cool enough to keep pushing my parents to get me into acting. He wanted me to come to LA with Molly to do Annie.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was against it. So when we got to Texas, my mom get me an agent, So I did theater there, but then the agent also did commercials and TV shows and modeling, so I ended up doing everything in Texas. And it just took off. I got lucky. I was like a commercial kid. I did like 200 commercials by the time I was 18. And
wow.
I did the movie The Dirt Bike Kid with Peter Billingsley from the Christmas movie.
Oh, wait a second. Wait, you were in The Dirt Bike Kid?
Yeah, and it's not in my IMDb even.
Yeah, I love that movie, and I've interviewed some people from it. Yeah, I love that movie.
It's the best movie. Yeah, I'm the girlfriend in it, Peter Billingsley.
Oh God, I gotta go back and watch it. It's been a while. Yeah, I had Stuart. I had Stuart Pankin. Yeah, I had Stuart Pankin on the show last year, and he was telling me a lot about it.
I loved him. Yeah, I mean, I was probably like, 12 at the time or something, or 11 or 12. And yeah, that was so much fun. We filmed it in Dallas.
Yeah, it's in Dallas.
Yeah.
God, wow.
Stuart, that's so funny because I tried to get that on my IMDb, but it's not up there yet. So whatever. I gotta do better with my IMDb. There's so much stuff that's not up there.
Oh my God, I just love that movie. Yeah.
yeah. That was a fun movie. Everyone loved that movie still. I mean, I don't want them to remake it, but I wish they would release it again or something.
Yeah, I wish so too. I tried reaching out to what's her name, Sage Parker, who played Mrs. Clavel.
Yes.
Yeah, I tried reaching.
Great lady.
Yeah, she's very hard to get in touch with, but I hope
really?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, you should have. She's super nice. I just remember her being super, super nice back then.
Mm-hmm. And she's married. She's married to Perry Ling.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
And I think who was the director of that? God, it was so long ago. That was the first on-camera ever job for TV and film.
Let's see, the director was Hoyt Caston.
Right, Hoyt Caston, I remember that now. And it was Julie...
Corman.
Corman, yeah. And I ended up doing a movie with her years later with her and Roger Corman. And it's a scene with me and Roger. And that was so, such a big circle. All the way, starting out, that was my first job, and here I am, starring in a movie in LA now. Joe Dante's directing it, and here I am in a scene with Roger Corman and Julie Corman. It was so full circle and so cool.
Oh, what movie did you do with Joe Dante?
That was the Runaway Daughters with Paul Rudd and Julie Bowen and
right.
Lewis. And...
That was a Showtime movie.
Yeah.
I remember it.
God. You're good. Yeah, I'm impressed.
Thanks, I try.
Very impressed.
But yeah, oh God, I gotta go back and watch The Dirt Bike Kid now to see you in it all those years ago. Wow.
The funny thing is, I was doing voiceover for Haley Steinfeld because she couldn't make it, so I do a lot of that for people. Like I do mostly Cameron Diaz, but Leslie Mann, Drew Barrymore, Brittany Murphy. But I was doing it for Haley Steinfeld, and Peter Billingsley was directing it. I mean, everything's like full circle in this world, I guess. And so, just the movie I forgot the name of it with Vince Vaughn just a few years ago. And after he's like, "Do you want to come to my house and watch the movie Dirt Bike Kid?" I'm like, "Oh my God, let's do it." So
wow.
It was so cool. I mean, it was so weird to watch it, and yeah, it was great.
Now, you've been a guest star on many of my favorite TV shows I grew up watching. I'm going to mention a slew of them. Tell me anything you remember about appearing in them.
Okay.
The pilot. You were originally in the pilot for Married with Children.
Yes. Yeah, I was actually up for the daughter, for Christina Applegate's part, which is so funny. They originally were going to make her. They didn't know which way they wanted to go, cheerleaderish or slutty-ish, and So I went to network for it, and they said just wait, and we waited, and I waited with this other girl, Tina Casperry, and they ended up hiring Tina Casperry for the daughter, and we shot the pilot, and it was Hunter Carson, Karen Blackson was the original boy.
Right.
And we shot the pilot, and it was so good. I mean, we knew it was going to do well. And then they decided to recast the kids, and so Tina Casperry became available because her other series got canceled, and so they recast with David Faustino, and they took my part out of the pilot, but then they gave me the spin-off with Jennifer Aniston called Sunday Funnies. It was a fantastic show for NBC, and but that's how I got that, was because they wanted it. They were just, the producers are really cool on that show. They're very loyal. But yeah, I just got to LA and I was testing for that, and I wish I got it, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, it's still one of the funniest shows ever. I got the entire series on DVD.
Yeah, you do. Oh, it's such a great show, and Christina Applegate was the best on that show.
Oh yeah,
no one else could have done that part.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I love that show. Yeah,
me too.
It's Gary Shandling's show.
Oh my God! Okay, that's a very good one. My friend Scott Nemus was one of the stars of it, and he didn't know I was coming into audition, but we had to sing for the show, and it got down between me and Fergie, which at the time was Stacey Ferguson, and Scott got to choose, and they thought, Stacey Ferguson, no one's gonna ever hear of her. Let's go with Holly, and so I got the part, and then meanwhile, Fergie is now Fergie.
Yeah.
And she's a great girl too.
Yeah, Gary Shandling, he was a genius, that guy.
God, he was so nice. And the funny thing was, which everyone thought was odd, is when we first started the show, the first read through, it was so funny. And I guess people kind of got tired of the jokes. They would rewrite them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as funny. It was still hilarious, when we went to tape it. But I thought it was funnier when we first started recording it. I mean, that's when we first started the read-through. So, anyway, he was fantastic. So nice. I would go to tapings after, and he'd always come up and say hi and bring me down, and we'd all hang out. Really great guy, and so funny. I've never met anyone funnier, except for Jerry Seinfeld. He is hilarious as well.
Oh, yeah.
God. But the Heart of Gold, that was Gary. He was amazing.
Yeah, that was during the time when Showtime had a contract with Paramount. And I always say, during that period, we didn't have Showtime until 1990. So all the Paramount movies that came out during those years, I saw them all on VHS. I didn't see them on cable.
Really? Oh, wow. VHS. My God. I have so many VHS tapes.
Me too. Yeah. I used to have a lot more. And then... then I was in a really bad housing situation that made me have to get rid of most of them, but I've gotten a lot of them back in the last couple of years through eBay.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
They all came from the video stores, but now I'm getting them off eBay.
Oh, of course. Yeah, possibly 2 cents now you can get them, and people. I have hundreds of them, and I love VHS still.
Oh,
yeah. One of the few.
I do too. Yeah, I just love them. And occasionally, when I go to conventions, I bring a VHS to get signed, but it's very rare. It has to be in good condition first.
Right.
MacGyver. Okay,
MacGyver. That's my heart. Okay, well, I had been in LA for I think a year at that time. I was working. And it got down between me and Jenny Garth, and I got it. And I got to go up to Canada, to Vancouver to film, and it was amazing. A dream come true job. Richard Dean Anderson was the coolest. We had this chemistry that they said he'd never had with anyone on the show. I was a kid, it wasn't weird chemistry. It was, I was a kid.
Yeah.
And he was he kind of took me on as a daughter, and we just clicked, and he actually ended up writing the final episode for me. So it was supposed to be the three, me and Dan, and I couldn't do it because I was in Whole High with Kenny Ortega in LA, and they just made me a regular, so I couldn't go back to Vancouver to film it, and then we ended up getting canceled. The other show got canceled the next day, but they ended up having to hire another girl to play my part, so I was really bummed. But filming that show was awesome, and I played a hooker. I was such an innocent kid, and here I am playing a hooker, but I liked those edgy characters.
Yeah.
It's more fun to play what you're not. And for me, I wanted to play the darker characters, because I was this innocent kid just trying to... It's fun to play the dark characters because you can take that risk without any consequences. You can play, you can play for your actions. You can play a hooker, or a pregnant teenager, or the villain. But, it's in a safe way.
Yeah, that would have been a great recurring character. MacGyver and the teenage prostitute.
Yeah, I know, right? It was so like TV prostitute, like so innocent.
Yeah, that would have been great. How about Alf?
Alf, okay, well, that's another funny one. The girl who originally was the daughter on Married with Children from Castaway she was cast, and I guess they wanted to recast her. She gets recast a lot, actually. So I came in and I took over for her as the friend of Andrea, the daughter on Alf.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up getting my cat from the show because they had cats on the show, and at the end they let us have the cats.
Yeah, I like that episode a lot. It's really sweet.
That was a fun one, yeah, and it wasn't in front of an audience, so that was different. And then I got the spin-off for that, but I was too old because I looked like I was 14 in real life, but I was like, I think 20 at the time of the spin-off. So they decided not to cast me. Same thing happened with Blossom. I was up for 6.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna Van Noy got another series. She got a pilot, and it sold, so they had to recast her for the pilot of Blossom. Brought me in, and then I was a little older, but I looked so young, and they were afraid that I would age throughout the show and look older all of a sudden. So I didn't end up getting to do Blossom until years later.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I know the part of 6 with Jenna Van Noy. I love Jenna Van Noy. So I've been lucky enough to work with the coolest people in this town. Like I've only had two bad experiences in my life in this town.
Well, I hope I don't bring them up.
No, it's okay. I'm an open book.
The Munsters Today.
That was fun. Oh, that's another one. They confused me with someone else for the Maryland Munster, so they didn't bring me in till the last second because there was another Holly that they thought I was, and they thought they had seen me. And my agent kept saying, no, bring her in. So they finally brought me in, and it was cast, but they said, let's give her a part. So they gave me a part on the show, and I love candy, so on my episode, I got to eat tons of candy, and we had to eat ice cream, but we couldn't have real ice cream. It would melt in the lights of the set, so we had to eat frosting. So I liked frosting. I was fine with that, but that was fun. That was so much fun, and Merriweather and Jason, I'm blanking on his name, such a talented cast, really fun, talented cast.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember that version of the Munsters a little bit. I was watching the old one during that time, along with the Addams Family.
Oh, me too. I love those shows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm such a TV fanatic. That's why I love my job. It's in my DNA. My great uncle was Howard Hawks, so I grew up loving cinema. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
It's funny because also my great so his daughter was Kitty Hawks. She was married to Ned Tannen, who produced 16 Candles, was Fire, ran Paramount. I didn't know any of this.
Universal.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't have that computers back then. We didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
So and my grandmother wasn't close with her sister, who was married to Howard Hawks. So I never, it would have been great because I would have had that connection and that in, but I had to make it on my own. But here I was meeting my it's like a second cousin's husband when I was reading for the Chevy Chase movie Meet the Andersons, and didn't even know he was married to my second cousin. So I guess that was my second cousin. But anyway, yeah. So and then my dad's side of the family, they started Warner Brothers, Shanks, and then I finally did my DNA, and it was pretty cool. I'm related to Judy Garland, Frank Sinatra. I have a really interesting DNA. So.
That is pretty interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it was very. I wish I knew all of them. That would have been cool.
Yeah. My great uncle, he was a cameraman in Hollywood. His name was Michael O'Shea.
Oh, nice. That's so cool. I just wish you could go back in time and see what it was like back then.
Well, he died in 1995, just before we were going to go out there and meet him. And he was a good friend of John Candy, who died the year before, so I didn't get to meet either of them, and I'm still pretty devastated about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. John Candy was the best. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to get his daughter on the show.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. So, Whole High, you were a series regular on. Why did the show get canceled so quick?
Oh, that was devastating. That's when I was supposed to go to MacGyver, but I couldn't because I was on Whole High. Mm-hmm. Well, that was Kenny Ortega. What happened was, it was horrible. We were filming, and they came in during a scene and said, "Okay, we're canceled. We're going home." And everyone just sat there, and all of a sudden people were crying, and it was such a good show. I mean, we were preempted. This was before we had, what do you call it, DVRs. So people couldn't DVR it, and then we were preempted because of the football games all the time. They didn't give us a chance. And then plus we were an hour series on Disney and NBC, and very expensive to make because we had these big, huge musical numbers.
Yeah. So
years later, they ended up, Kenny Ortega ended up kind of remaking it similar into High School Musical, which did fantastic. Thank God for him. You know, it was a great show. Really amazing cast. We had Cheryl Pollack. Just everyone.
I know Cheryl. Yeah.
They all sang and danced, and they did it all. Well written.
Oh yeah, Nancy Vallon. She's been a guest on the show.
Yes, I love Nancy Vallon. Yeah, she was amazing. Teacher on the show.
Really cool. Yeah. Rodney Eastman did a couple episodes.
Yes, he did. Yeah, the sexy guy on the show. Yeah, we had a good-looking cast.
Yeah. Legend has it, though, when the show was canceled, people used Whole High and Top Rock as perfect examples of what kind of show not to put on the air.
I know, right? Because back then, that Top Rock, remember that? Yeah. I was actually up for 90210 at the same time, and I thought, here's a show on Fox, and then Whole High was on NBC. Right. And I thought that was the better choice, so I didn't end up testing for 90210, which was the biggest mistake, but I'm a singer, and I'm a dancer, so Whole High just appealed to me, and then I got to play the bitchy kind of character, which was so fun to play, and it was a fantastic show. It would have gone a long time, I think, if we were given a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely ahead of its time. It was before Glee.
Yeah, and then you look at all the shows now that are successful, the singing shows, all the shows on Disney, they're all so popular. We also had, what happened, I've had a lot of shows where they've been sold, and I'm on them, and then they get canceled. Mm-hmm. So just because the show's been, sold for 13, I've finally learned, don't get too excited because you never know what will happen. But we were sold for 13, and we only shot, I think, 8. And that was devastating.
Yeah.
That was fun to do, though, at least. I'm glad I had the chance to be on it.
Mm-hmm. The movies you've done as well, The Big Picture.
Oh, yeah. I got a good story with that.
Okay.
Well, I just got into L.A., and I went in to meet with Michael McKean and Christopher Guest. I didn't know who Christopher Guest was. I thought he was William Hurt. So here I am, and I'm so excited. I'm like, you're such a great actor, and not realizing he's in The Princess Bride and how amazing he really is. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, you're hired. And they gave me the part right then and there. And my mom I just gotten there from Texas, and my mom had come out because I was originally here with a mother and her son, and they were driving me around to auditions, and they couldn't keep up, so I missed like half the auditions. So my mom came out, and she came out the first day we went to meet with John Hughes. She had a car accident on the 101. Mm-hmm. I was going to meet with John Hughes for some kind of wonderful. Anyway, so my mom was there, and he came out, Christopher Guest, and said, you need to let her stay in LA because I think she's going to do really well. So he's kind of the reason why I ended up staying rather than going back to Texas. And, great guy. And then, so that's how I got the part, because I thought he was William Hurt. Then I got a TV series, Fort Figueroa, with Luis Valdez, who directed the Bomb Up. Yep. We were filming at Warner Brothers, and they said, come meet Bill. And I'm like, okay. I meet Bill. It was William Hurt. And I was a kid. And I'm like, well, I thought you were William Hurt. Your name's Bill. And he's like, yeah, Bill short for William. Yeah, I was a little kid. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. But who's the man I'm working with on this movie? So, anyway. So, we shot The Big Picture, and that was super cool.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you get to interact with Kevin Bacon?
Yeah, not in the movie, but in real, yeah, on the set we did, and Jennifer Jason Leigh, who was my idol, and Martin Short. Yeah, they were all there on the set that day, the first day I was filming, and I just was in heaven.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Then you worked with another guest of mine, Philippe Mora, on Communion.
Oh, yeah, that's another one that was, I had wanted to work with Christopher Walken. I was obsessed with him. I just didn't know who his name was, because I had seen him in Bloxy Blues, and I told my agent, I want to work with that man in Bloxy Blues. I thought I meant Matthew Broderick. Mm-hmm. So they kept saying, well, you got this movie with this Christopher Walken guy, and I'm like, who's that? I go to the set, and I see him, and I'm like, the guy from Bloxy Blues. He was so nice. I mean, I was a kid, I was 11 or something, maybe 12, and so I wasn't, he really liked me, because most adults would try to be in with him. But here I was, this little kid that was obsessed with acting, so he, for some reason, bonded with me, and we really got along well. He's an amazing guy, amazing actor.
One of the greats, and everyone, there's so many people who can impersonate him so well, it's very hard.
I know, right? and I'm obsessed, I love the study of the whole thing of UFOs, it fascinates me, so I was probably the only kid that read Communion when I went to audition for that. I think that's one of the reasons why I got it, because they were shocked that I had read the book. Mm-hmm. So I could tell them anything about UFOs. I was this weird kid.
Oh, that's cool. Then you worked with Charlie Band's crew on Seedpeople.
Yeah, that was fun. Got us there. Great cast.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to remake the movie. I think they're going to remake it or make part 2.
I didn't hear that, but I wouldn't be surprised. They're remaking a couple Full Moon movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Charlie Band told me they're probably going to do a part 2. I really want to. Well, I'd love to be in it if I go back to acting, but that would be fun. They're also making Runaway Daughter again, the Joe Dante movie.
Huh. Wow.
I'm like, come on, the original was amazing. You had Paul Rudd, Julie Bowen. You can't get any better.
Yeah.
So,
When I saw Charlie 4 weeks ago at Soda Monster Palooza, he was trying to sell me an Amazon Prime subscription.
Really?
Yeah.
Great. Oh my God.
He went on and on about it. I wanted to invite him on the podcast, because his brother, I got to interview him a year ago and stuff, but he just kept talking about Amazon Prime and the Full Moon, subscription.
That's so weird. He probably has billions. He doesn't need the money.
Yeah.
With all the puppet masters. Wow.
What was Andrea Roth like?
Oh, fantastic. The funny thing was, she was playing my aunt, and I don't know, I think she was like 6 years older than me, or I don't know, not much. And anyway, she's like super cool. She's like the epitome of cool and gorgeous. Like I remember when I first met her, I'm like, is she a supermodel? Because she came in this beautiful white suit to the table read. But she was great to work with.
That's good, yeah.
Really great girl. I've never had a person it's funny because you hear these stories of people in this town and bad stories, but I have never really I've only had one bad story in my life, really, maybe kind of a 2, but the second one wasn't that bad, but the first one was bad. But other than that, like, people root for each other. The girls that I've worked with have been amazing. Mm-hmm. And fun to work with, and we're still all friends. And Julie Bowen is incredible. Jenny Lewis is fantastic. I've never worked with anyone that has been like the stories I've heard about on sets.
Yeah.
And I worked on Charmed. That's saying a lot.
Oh, God, I met Holly Marie Combs at a convention last year. I did not have a good experience.
Okay, that was supposed to be my part, by the way. Can I tell you the story? Should I tell it or not?
Of course.
Okay. All right. So I read the script for Charmed. I did it during Wishmaster, and I wanted that part. I thought this was the coolest script ever, and I worked the whole weekend long. I went to meet with Constance, the creator of it, and she said, "You're in it. You're one of the sisters." And I was with Don Buchwald, and they called my agent and said, "She's on the show. We just don't know which sister she's going to be." So I met with spelling. I had tested for spelling, I think, 20 times at that point, and they have never hired me. So they said, one of these times we're going to find something for you. And they said, this was it. And Holly Marie Combs went to producers with me, and she got knocked out, or the running. They decided no on her. And so it was down between me and another girl. And they said, you have it. And then Shannon Doherty decided she was going to be on the show, and she wanted her best friend to be on the show with her, which was Holly Marie Combs. Mm-hmm. So I had to wait until Holly decided what part she wanted to play, and I'm like, God, please let us decide on the youngest, because I was set for the middle. And she decided she wanted the middle sister. So I remember being on my kitchen floor crying that day. That was devastating, and I actually quit acting for a long time after that, because I was so devastated. I got so sick of, like, so many times I would go to the end. Like, I had a movie called Night Train to Kathmandu, and then Mila Jovovich auditioned, and, I would hire Mila Jovovich over me in a heartbeat, because she's gorgeous. So I had so many close calls where you have it, and then, oh, no, we're going to go with the name. So in Charmed, so Holly got that part. They shot the pilot, and, so I tested for the youngest sister, and they decided to go with the girl that was under contract with Warner Brothers. Mm-hmm. They shot the pilot presentation, and they called me after, and they said, my agent called and said, the girl had dropped out of it for some reason, and can you start on Monday? And it was a Friday. And then they called back, and they said, we have a famous actress interested in this part. So if she decides she wants to do it, she's going to start on Monday. If not, she's got the part. Mm-hmm. It was Alyssa Milano. So she decided she wanted to do it, and I found out again, nope, you don't have the part. So they ended up writing me a part on the show, and they tried to give me 90210 to make up for it. I told them it was this posh character, and I didn't like playing posh, so I said, bring my friend Josie Davison, she's perfect for it. I went in as well, and we ended up giving it to Josie. So that's my Charm story, but I was devastated. But I worked on the show, and they were so nice to me. Like, I had a really good experience with them.
Oh, that's good.
And I'd heard horror stories, but I didn't have any bad experience with them at all.
Yeah, and that was like one of Aaron Spelling's last shows.
Yeah, I loved Aaron Spelling. And Jonathan Levin, another great guy.
Yeah, I mean, that guy was so prolific. I mean, his shows are like cemented in pop culture.
Yes. Oh, he was brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, I heard of...
Sorry.
I heard him tell a funny story in an interview once. Most of his shows were ABC and CBS shows, right? Towards the end of his career, he did one show for NBC, and he spent 2 hours trying to find NBC's building because he had never been there because all of his shows were at ABC or CBS. Yeah.
I was so devastated when he passed away, but what an icon.
Yes.
Brilliant.
So then comes Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies.
Yes. Okay, so I already told you this part. So I had auditioned. I was supposed to audition for the sister in part 1, and didn't get to. So when part 2 came around, I'm like, I'm going to get this role. I was determined. So there were 3 major scenes to read, tons of dialogue, and they said choose one, and I ended up memorizing all 3 of them because I wanted it. And so I went in to read with Jack Shoulder, and I was blonde at the audition because I was blonde, and I hadn't heard for a while after reading for it, so I thought I didn't get it. So I dyed my hair black and chopped it off because I just was going through this phase of, I don't know, I was a teenager, I think, rebelling. Mm-hmm. And actually, I forgot how old I was, but I wasn't a teenager, a little older. So anyway, I come to the callback, and they're like, what happened? So they ended up changing the character. Instead of they wanted the blonde, they went with the brunette, and they made her goth. And that was such a great show. And that movie was so much fun. I love horror films. So,
yeah.
And working with Andrew G. Voss was a dream. He's the best. The guy is amazing. So easy to work with. So humble and talented. So, and then getting to, do kind of follow in Tammy Lauren's footsteps was just such an honor.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, Andrew was the only one I didn't get to meet that weekend.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, come to the next one and come meet him. He's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Long line for him. People love him.
Yeah, well, it's funny, I was up for 24 hours that night that you met me, right? So I had very little, I had like no sleep, for like 24 hours. I was exhausted.
Oh, no.
And then Saturday, I was in the hotel most of the day because I was a little sick.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And so...
my phone cut out. Sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, I said I was a little sick on Saturday, and so I spent most of the day in the hotel. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
That's not a good day to be sick.
Yeah, I was okay by Sunday, but it was like a 24-hour virus or something. But I was good, though.
Oh, then you got to come back.
I will.
Then you won't be sick, and you get to meet Andrew and.
Absolutely.
Yep. Come back. Yeah.
What was it like working with Tiny Lister?
Oh, he was great. Nice guy. I didn't get many scenes with him, but I got to be on the set with him a lot, and really great guy.
Oh, God.
Joaquin was fine.
Yeah, oh my God, he was booked at Monsterpalooza last year, and I couldn't go. And then he was booked for a con in Sacramento next weekend, but the con got canceled because of the California fires a couple weeks ago.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. One of these days you'll meet him. He's great.
Yeah, I've loved him in everything I've ever seen him in.
Me too. He's fantastic. We have a really great cast. Good, and Paul Johansson.
Mm-hmm. And there's a cameo. And there's a cameo by Corey Haim.
Oh my God, yeah. I was dating Corey Haim at the time. And he came to the set, and I'm in the scene, and I turn around and I see him walking through the scene. I'm like, what? What are you doing? And he wanted to be an extra in the scene. He thought it would be hilarious. He was really funny. He was such a great guy. He always did. He was like a little kid, very mischievous.
Yeah.
And always doing things that would get most people in trouble, but not him. Because people loved him so much. They never got mad at him, yeah. But he was an extra in one of the scenes. You can see him in it.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies is Lucas.
Oh, that was mine too. The funny thing is, like, he's done a lot of movies, and I think in real life, he's most like his character in Lucas.
Really?
He was super kind and loving, and just wanted to be loved. That was him in real life.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a sweetheart. I miss him every day.
Mm-hmm. I asked Tammy this, if you had 3 wishes, what would they be?
Oh my gosh. To look like I'm 18 again? You can't wish for 100 more wishes, can you? Or infinity number of wishes?
3 wishes, yeah, because you remember that was the plot of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking, oh God, I wish I could go back in time and redo everything with what I know now. You know,
right?
Like I made so many mistakes. I wish I could redo everything all over with what I know now and start at age 4.
Yeah. If I had 3, one would be my family members would all stop drinking because alcoholism runs in my family.
Oh, mine too. Yeah, that's good.
That somebody would buy my script and it would make an awesome movie, and this made Tammy laugh. Go to a convention and never spend a dime.
I like that. Well, if you ever come to me, I won't charge you. That's funny.
Yeah.
I like those.
Yeah, those are my 3 wishes. But if I had more, yeah, I would definitely want to go back in time and fix things. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually, about mistakes I've made.
Yeah.
In the last 15 years or so. So.
Yeah, this time, I mean, I'm big on the Montauk Project and all that, and supposedly there's time machines, but I wish I could go back in time and make things better, with the world, everything. But yeah, wouldn't that be great if you could just go back and fix things that you want to fix? But that's not, you have to go through them to live and learn, unfortunately, and that's how you learn and grow. But yeah, I also believe you put things out there and you can get them. So I think you're going to get the one where you don't have to pay for anything at the conventions.
Yeah, God. So I didn't go, I didn't get to go to conventions growing up, but, like, I heard that, they used to be a lot less expensive.
Really? I don't charge half the time. That's the problem. That was my first one I did. Well, my second one I did, actually. But first one that I kind of did as a, took seriously. I did one in New Jersey, but I didn't charge half the people. Because I think if they invite me on a show, I don't want to charge them.
Mm-hmm.
So and I love meeting the people too. It's always fun meeting the fans that love fans of the movie, especially the Wishmaster movie. We have like the nicest fans, but only the autographed people that sell them. Those are the ones that I feel okay charging, because if they're going to sell it and make money off of you, that's one thing. But if it's for a fan that wants to put a poster on the wall, I do a lot of them in the mail. I just sign them and send them back.
Yeah, was that Tammy's manager that was there?
I think it was your autograph manager. I'm not sure.
Well, either way, I've had similar experiences going to conventions and trying to talk to my guests and stuff. She was kind of a twat, I thought.
Oh no, I don't know. Which one you're talking about? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I've had experiences where, like, I just want to go over and say hi because she's been a guest on my podcast, right? And they're like, oh, how come I never heard of you or something like that, And I have to show them my business card and stuff. It really sucks.
You know what I've noticed in this town? This is what I always tell people. This is why I think I've had good experiences with actors like Christopher Guest, Michael J. Fox, Scott Bakula, for example.
Yeah.
The nicest people to work with, like literally a dream come true. But then you have the ones that aren't on that level and they want to be, so they kind of act like jerks.
Oh yeah.
When they're successful, they're happy, they're confident, they don't have to act like jerks. So that's why I think people can behave badly, because I just, like when I go in for huge films, when I read for, the big producers, they're always the nicest. It's the ones on their way up, they think they have to be jerks to fluff up their feathers in a way,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why whenever I meet a jerk, I have to just think they're that way for a reason and don't let it bother me. So, yeah, sorry that happened. I wanted to go.
I have been so lucky since I started this podcast 2 years ago. I have met so many nice people in the world of cult films, and I've only had to deal with a handful of jerks. The two biggest ones, ironically, I never released those interviews. I ended up erasing them because they only lasted a couple of minutes, and I couldn't take it. So I was just like, bye.
Life is too short. I agree. Just let the feelings go.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. The world lately too has become kind of different than it used to be. I miss the 80s and the 90s. I wish I could. That's maybe one of my other wishes. Go back in time and just live in the 80s and 90s.
Oh yeah, it's funny. Back to the Future is my favorite movie of all time, and.
Me too. I was just talking about this yesterday. That's so weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've had a fantasy since I was a kid of going back and seeing my parents in high school.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah, because I was looking at their yearbooks from an early age.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That was the best. Yeah, when I first got to LA, I was filming Quantum Leap, and Michael J. Fox was sitting there on a chair. And we pull into the studio, and there he is. He looks up and waves at us. And then years later, I ended up getting to work with him. He's the nicest guy in the world. But I had this weird connection with Back to the Future. Like, I did a movie called Mr. Payback that was written by the writer of Back to the Future with Christopher Lloyd, starred in it with me. And then I did this job with Michael J. Fox. And then this was Corey's really good friend, so we hung out a lot. And it was just like one. Oh, then I ended up hanging out a lot with Kristen Glover, who's the nicest guy too. It was so weird, like this weird Back to the Future connection. I think if you put it out there and maybe you pull it in, you pull the people in from the movie or something. Mm-hmm. That's one of my all-time favorites. That and I Love Ferris Bueller.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
And 16 Candles and all those. I love all those classics.
Yeah, all those are great. I love those movies. So are you done with acting?
No. I was on the OC in JAG when I stopped acting. I was working a lot, and I had something weird happen. I got a vaccination because I was going to Bali, and I got home within an hour, and I couldn't balance, and I started having like memory loss and stuff. So I kind of took a break for a while because I'm all for vaccinations. I think I had too many, and my body couldn't handle it or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a break from on camera, but I kind of got big into voiceovers, and I got really lucky because I was working for Cameron Diaz, revoicing her for Shrek, and like all the Shrek jobs, like the games, dolls, toys, pre-vocals for the movie, singing sometimes. There was another girl singing for her, but I got to take over that in singing for Cameron Diaz for Shrek, and it's been the most amazing job. And then I started working on Star Wars, The Old Republic, and that's been, I thought I would just do the one job for them, and it ended up being a bunch of jobs, which has been such a blessing, because, George Lucas that's been my dream job, Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I get to play the good guy, and I'm a Jedi Knight. I get to play a good guy, and then I switch over to the dark side. So I just I love on camera, but I think I would panic when I'd have to go to the set, which I never did before because I couldn't remember my lines. I was getting a little afraid. And so I just took a long break from on camera and just really got immersed in the voiceover world. And I got really lucky, thank God. So I've been doing like Black Cat and Spider-Man and Superman, God of War, like tons of jobs where I got to play these characters where you don't have to worry about what you look like either. You just go in and sweat or whatever and no makeup, and it's just such an easy job, and it pays more than on camera. So I figured, why go back to on camera when I've got this? I'm just loving it. But I do miss it. Now I miss it. I've gotten my memory back a lot, not as much as I wish, but there's ways to get your brain working again. So I've seen like every doctor in the book, and they're fixing. I've been fixed a lot better than I was. Like last year, I couldn't remember anything. But that's kind of why I had to stop on camera, because we still don't really know exactly why it caused it, but my memory was just gone.
Yeah,
maybe I got used up from having to memorize all that stuff.
Yeah, I was reading too that you have Lyme disease.
I don't. I thought I did. No, they told me I did. That's what they thought originally. I don't have it.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
Thank you. Yeah. I thought I had it. I got treated at UCLA with a PICC line, and because we did the spinal tap, and they said you have high CSF protein in your brain, which means brain inflammation. So what happened was they think the vaccination caused brain inflammation, which the Tdap can do. Mm-hmm. So to fix it, we had to do like just detoxing. I detox. I can't, eat sugar. I don't eat it. Don't drink alcohol. I had a glass of wine at the convention though. So I literally don't drink alcohol. I was nervous that day. But I just have to be super clean, and then I do well. If I eat anything that's like synthetic or something, I notice a difference.
Yeah, I'm so glad. One of my favorite singer-songwriters, Daryl Hall of Hall & Notes.
Yes, I love him so much.
He was on Howard Stern years ago, and he talked about his Lyme disease that he has because he lives in a wilderness area, and he said that he would love it if all deers became extinct because that they are the cause of his Lyme disease. He's like, fuck deers.
I know. That being that I thought I had it for so long, I know a lot about it, and I know a lot of people with it. I mean, Debbie Gibson has it, Alec Baldwin, Michael J. Fox actually thought he had it, and then now it can turn into Parkinson. I mean, it's a lot of times, like Chris Christopherson thought he had dementia. He actually had Lyme disease. So a lot of people that have like MS or think they have MS and dementia might actually have Lyme disease, and if you treat it with antibiotics, they can get all better, which I found fascinating. So, but it can turn into other things because it does cause brain inflammation.
Yeah, I live up here in Reading for the last 2 years, and I'm afraid of Lyme disease because there's lots of, animals up here and stuff, and I'm just afraid that I'm going to catch something, just breathing in the air,
I do too. I know, but you can get it from mice now too, because the ticks can get on the mice.
Oh, God.
But you don't just get Lyme disease, you get Bartonella, there's other things you can get too, along with this co-infection. You don't just get Lyme disease, you can get other things. But if you keep your immune system up, a lot of times you can live with it and be fine. So that's what a lot of people do. They go into remission. They're basically eating as clean as possible and just keeping their immune system as elevated as they can, and then they live a great life. So just stay healthy.
Absolutely. If you do act, though, would you like to do more horror?
I would do everything. I love horror. Horror, that's one of my favorite. I love sci-fi also.
Yeah.
But I've been so lucky. I've been so lucky to work with who I've worked with. My first kiss ever was Scott Bakula. I was a kid, and I got Quantum Leap, but didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't even know the name. I didn't know the third episode, so no one had heard of it yet. And I'm sitting there kissing Scott Bakula with Madonna standing, and Madonna and Laura Beatty were there watching, and because they were filming Dick Tracy next door. I just worked with Madonna on the Pepsi commercial, so she comes over to say hi. I've had such a good life and such a fun career, and I got to do the career in the 80s and 90s when it was such a fun time. I wish I could have gone back to the 40s. That would have been fun to be in those films, the classics. But
oh yeah,
I'm thankful for what I've done, and it would have been fun to choose some of the roles that I didn't choose, like Stargate. I got offered any role I wanted on Stargate by the producers of MacGyver, producers, and I didn't do it because I didn't want to. It was a long story, but I said no, and I regret it. There's so many things I regret. I wish I could fix that, but I'm thankful for everything I've gotten to do, and people I've gotten to work with, and the crews that I've gotten to work with too. Amazing crews. I could die happy at this point, but I would love to go back. If I could go back, I would just take any job I was given this time and not be so, not just, pick and choose. I'd be thankful for anything, just to work with good people and good story.
Mm-hmm.
I wish Tammy would go back. Tammy Lauren.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite actresses. She's denying us of her talent, which is, I guess she doesn't want to go back to it, but God, I loved her and everything she was in growing up.
Oh yeah, she did a lot of stuff, and she is just so funny, and I enjoyed her so much.
I do too, and she's such a badass. She's so cool. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
She's so cool. I want to be like her. I want to be more like her.
She's
a good girl.
She's a true tomboy if ever there was one.
But it's this brilliant tomboy. She's she's so brilliant. I remember seeing her in I forgot the name of the movie, but she was in Little House on the Prairie. I remember seeing her in something.
Yeah.
As a kid, thinking I want to be just like her one day. So I'll never be like her. No one will. She is one of a kind.
She is one of a kind.
Classic, cool.
So there's a game that I like to play with my guests, and how this game works is it's slumber party questions.
Okay.
And what I do is I ask you a question, you answer it, and then you ask me that exact same question, and I answer it.
Okay, sounds good.
Silly slumber party questions. Holly, are you ticklish?
Yes. Are you ticklish?
I am baby ticklish, yes.
Baby ticklish, what's that?
I get a knee-jerk reaction when I get tickled.
I'll remember that when I see you next.
Okay, just protect your groin.
I will. I'll put a groin cup.
Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
Innie. Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
It's a very deep innie, yes.
Cool.
And all the ladies out there listening, that is my G-spot.
Ooh. Good to know.
Yeah. What color are your toenails painted?
Red.
Ooh, sexy.
What color are your toenails painted?
They are not painted.
Okay, thank God. No, it could be cool, actually.
No, I'm not a tranny.
Okay. I mean, no, I've known guys that have done their nails.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just for fun. You never know.
Yeah.
Like sin-wise, people.
And my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Let me think. Cigarettes.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm allergic to them, and so they make my nose congested, like it just now. But yeah, I'm not a big cigarette person.
Yeah.
How about you?
Farts or feet.
You know, I've smelled some good feet before.
Oh, I have too.
So bad smelling feet.
Yeah. I mean, I was in the hospital for 5 months because I had a car accident.
Oh no. Wait.
Yeah. 2015, the first 6 months of the year.
Oh. So I had one in 2016 that broke my nose, and I just had one actually during the convention on the Saturday of the convention. The guy rear-ended me I was sitting at a stoplight, and it messed my back up. So wow, I'm so sorry. What happened?
It was a night of debauchery. I fell asleep in the passenger seat, and then the guy I was hanging out with, he fell asleep at the wheel. We ended up in the middle of the road. We were okay. I mean, there was damage to the car, and my hand was bleeding. But other than that, we were fine, and we got out okay. But then a car collided with ours, and the impact hit us.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And what did you have to, like, what did they fix on you?
Oh, God, get ready for this. I had at least 12 surgeries. I had a heart attack, so they put a stent in my heart.
What?
I crushed my ribs and my sternum, and I had to wait until they healed. I had some teeth broken. I broke my leg in 7 places. They had to reconstruct my leg. If you noticed, I was walking with a cane at the convention.
Wow. Wow.
And then I had so many other things I can't even think of. I mean, I have scratches, in certain places and stuff, but I had a lot of damage done to me. Thank God I had no brain damage, and thank God my nose didn't break. Although you're very lucky. I wouldn't have minded having my nose broken in that.
Yeah, right. And now it just sounds so bad. Oh, I'm so sorry. I do notice though when people go through a lot, you become more empathetic. They become kinder people, deeper people, because you reach a level, you understand a level that some people can't. So you going through that just makes you a better person. But thank God you're alive. I mean, you're like a miracle.
Yeah, I've always had empathy for people. It goes back to childhood. I was always someone who wanted to help the homeless and stuff. And of course, I became homeless around the time of my accident and stuff. I'm not anymore, but I was for a while, which led to it. Yeah.
The more you go through, the better. I don't know. It just changes people, and it opens their eyes to things that they normally wouldn't have seen. I think
it's made me much more confident. Like I wouldn't be podcasting if I hadn't gone through that. I know that because I was just shy and I was scared. Yeah. And I've become a lot more risk taking. I always have to put myself in check though. Like, okay, maybe I'm going too far here and I need to slow down. But I'm just a lot more confident than I used to be.
Yeah, I think that's what happens when you get through or at death's door. You think back and you think, at least for me, when I was sick, I thought I was going to die from what was going on. I didn't know if I was going to live or die, and I wished I had gone to the beach more. I wish I had traveled more, and it really changes you, and it changes your personality. It changed me too, because I'm also very shy, which is why I love acting. I am not shy when I act, but I'm shy on stage as myself.
I got that from you when I met you, that you were shy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm shy. I'm very, but once you get to know me, then I'm not. But I'm shy, and sometimes people will mistake it for aloof when a lot of times people are just shy. That's why they're quiet. But it's getting sick. And I had back surgery when I know what you've gone through with your ribs, because I had 3 spinal surgeries starting at age 10, and it changes you, and you live more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You wake something. It woke something up in me, which made me think, let's do more with my life while I'm here. Because you don't really start living until you almost die a lot of times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You live more.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. So the point I was trying to make, though, with the stinky feet.
Yeah, it's about the stinky feet.
So the last month I was in the hospital, I was very cranky from the medication they gave me in rehab. So I didn't give them a reason to like me very much. So they stopped changing my socks. And when I got out of the hospital, I noticed I had pretty bad athlete's foot. So for 6 months I had it until I just one day started putting cream on my foot and soaking it and everything, and it went away. But that was the absolute worst smell ever.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But it's all better now, so it's good.
Yeah. That was the worst.
Good.
So I have a couple of jokes to tell you.
Okay.
That I want to close this on because I like to tell jokes at the end of the podcast.
Okay.
Everybody knows the old nursery rhyme. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many kids she didn't know what to do. What did her right leg say to her left leg?
I don't know. What?
Nothing. They never met.
Okay. I don't get it.
It means she likes to fuck.
Oh, okay. All right.
Can't believe Mother Goose came up with that nursery rhyme. It's so blatantly obvious.
I'm so naive.
And then this is a long one, but so damn funny. Okay, Cinderella is about to go to the ball, and she's on her period. And the fairy godmother gives her these magic tampons and says, okay, you can go to the ball, but you have to be home by midnight, or else those tampons will turn into a pumpkin. And she says, okay, fairy godmother, I will. So 12 rolls around, and there is no Cinderella. Fairy godmother's pacing around, just pissed off. And so Cinderella finally shows up at 4, stumbling drunk. And fairy godmother says, where were you? You were supposed to be home by midnight. And Cinderella says, I'm so sorry, fairy godmother. I met this great guy. His name was Peter.
I get that one.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Everyone I tell that to, they love it.
That's awesome.
Well, Holly, this was so awesome, and I thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and
Sorry I have a cold.
oh, you sounded just fine to me. Oh,
good.
I mean, when I hear this afterwards, it may sound a little low. Sometimes it does when someone has a cold, but other than that, everything turned out great. And happy early birthday.
Thank you. I started celebrating early, but thank you.
Yeah, you're a Libra, I'm a Gemini. That's why we get along so well.
I love Geminis.
Oh, yes. I have my sweet side and I have my naughty side.
I like that.
Yes.
Me as well.
Yes. So we'll keep in touch and talk again. And I hope you have yourself a happy birthday. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, and we'll see you at the convention, right? You'll come back and hang out and meet Andrew?
Oh, yeah. And,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I try to go both times each year, or at least one time each year. And if they're there and I happen to be going, I will definitely go and meet you guys again.
That'd be awesome.
Yes.
Sounds good.
So, happy birthday, and have yourself a great rest of your day.
You too. Have a great rest of your, day, month, and don't just drive carefully next time. Oh, you are driving, but
yeah, I don't drive.
It'll be a good New Year.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Holly Fields. Ain't she a sweetheart? She really is a sweetheart. She is just another one of my, inspiring guests. She's persevered through darkness, and here she is living life and being fucking awesome like she is. So thank you, Holly. Love you. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.